Welcome to the Black Men Think podcast. If this is your first time here, know that the views and opinions expressed by the Black Men Think podcast are those of the Black Men Think podcast and not the individual members. With that being said, we're about to be unapologetically, undeniably black. Enjoy.
I just got one question.
What's that, man?
What's your most influential relationship? Think about it.
What kind of influence? Because I mean, it could be a good influence.
Hey,
It could influence you for the worse.
good or bad, bro?
Tor, what you got, man?
What's the first one come to mind?
Oh,
Well, I'm in the spirit of positivity tonight, so I'm gonna go with. I guess I can go with a positive experience.
Okay.
I think one of my most influential relationships, I'll have to say, is with you guys. The 7.
that junk, man. It's all good. Try to think of another.
And through that experience, there's just so many things that I learned about friendship, about family, about brotherhood, really, man. And then just the life lessons that each of us has had with one another as a group or subgroup. I mean, it's just so much of our experience has shaped my life, which is why we're trying to pour this into other people to share our life. So I would say that's one of my most influential relationships is 7.
And that makes sense because I mean we have years like on our belt together. We've had a chance to like see each other at our best, at our worst. Go through all the some crazy situations, some of which we shared here on the podcast.
Some that we will never share.
Some that we will never share on the podcast.
Ever.
Forever locked away in the sanctum.
That's right.
But that would have been my one. So I'm gonna toss that thing over to JD because I'm still thinking about.
Sure. Why not? I'll say probably most influential relationship. You ask a question and you don't think about the answer until you hear everybody else talking, and it's on you, and you got to really think about it. Because of course, like I think the 7 is definitely one of those. I'll say another one will have to be, like I don't want to be cliche and say my wife, but I mean my wife is definitely one of the important relationships. Just
For sure.
Just for the simple fact that like she met me when I was basically on a down in a sense. Like so it was like we met and business wise everything was like, we were coming off a recession. So, she met me at a point of my life where I was trying to just navigate and figure this whole thing out. You know what I'm saying? So just to see where we are both at right now, you know what I mean? Because, for her, she always had her thing together, but there were some things that I brought to the table too that opened her eyes about some things that she wasn't, really thinking about. Like, so I think just our relationship together, being able to iron out different things, like, having those conversations that my parents never had with me. Like we never talked about credit or any of those things, and I y'all know me, like I'm a very optimistic person. So for me, my mentality is always like, I'm gonna figure it out. You know what I'm saying? But
Right.
she really instilled that. Okay, let's draw the plan to figure it out, as opposed to just saying we're gonna figure it out. Like no, let's just if we're trying to get to B and C, then let's write out how we get there, as opposed to what might be perceived as winging it to B and C. She's more so like, let's strategize and figure out how to get there. You know what I mean? So I would say that's definitely one of them, especially from a financial side. I can say that from a financial side. From a personal side, I mean, for the sake of just being respectful, there was a lot of women that I dealt with that taught me a lot about me and B, things that I don't want, things that I thought I wanted, but realizing that no, that ain't what I wanted. You know what I'm saying?
That's where I was gonna go. And to your point, like you're basically, applauding your wife for your maturation, right?
Right.
Like she was integral in helping you become who you are today and get past, some of the childish things that most of us, enter marriage with.
Right.
But it's funny that you even brought what you brought up at the end, because I was going to kind of, twist it a little bit and say it may not necessarily fall as my most influential of all time, but it was one of the most influential relationships, connections, with a person that, to this date, and that would have been probably, a former relationship, and romantic relationship. And I probably saw the worst in myself in that relationship, and the reason that I saw that is because that person brought it out of me. Like it was one of those hellish experiences, man, that is forever written in your history, and you see things in yourself that you never want to be again,
Yeah.
Matter of fact, you get to places that you never knew you could get, and granted, we all have these growth moments in our life, and we interact with people who are going to influence us. They're going to, some people plant a seed, some people stay with us long term, some people are with us very, short periods of time.
Right.
But needless to say, I think when people leave their imprint on you, it can either be good or bad.
Yeah,
and
that's real.
And you remember all of them, and there are some. I'm sure we have some listeners out there who've had some of those experiences where there are people in their history that have placed their imprint on them, whether they like it or not. Because sometimes we take these things with us and we don't even want to carry them anymore.
Yeah,
right. That's real facts there.
Yeah.
So,
Mo, I'm listening to you saying that, and I just thought about something, man. Like, and I know the answer, but I'm gonna ask it anyway. But have y'all realized that, you may have hung around certain people, men or women, that was like a natural, we hang around, we go out every day, like every weekend type vibe. And in my brain, I cannot pinpoint when that stopped, but it stopped. Like I can't tell you. There was, and there was like groups of, and I'm not talking about college because college is different. Right. I'm talking about adulthood, like after college. So I was 22 to 28, basically. Like, there were a specific group of like men and women that we all hung around. That like all of a sudden we don't hang around as much, and it's not even really a bad thing that happened or a good thing that happened. It's just like, man, I don't even know why we don't hang like we used to. Like, it's just, it's weird. I'm trying to process it in my brain as I talk to y'all about it, but I can't pinpoint what happened and why I don't really hang around some of those people anymore. It's a weird thing.
You grow apart.
Yeah.
I don't know, but it's weird.
Because I could see, I'm going to say, like, I saw that happening when we hit around 25, 26. That's when that shift.
That's when it happened.
Really taking place, and I think it's one definitely comes from being more mature, right? But I think it also came from where we were trying to go as well. So
what is that though? Like, it's kind of random in some cases, because I mean, there are people who you kind of did not have a really good reason why y'all drifted apart. Like,
facts, bro.
Right.
Like you're not on Facebook, Mo, but like I'm on Facebook, Tori on Facebook, and I would see these people occasionally pop up on my timeline. I was like, hey, why we start hanging?
Right.
Like, I don't even,
yeah.
And I understand now, like, of course, and right now I'm talking about like women, but I understand now I'm married and it's not appropriate for me to hang with you. But
I was gonna say, I can tell you why the women disappeared in my life, because wifey wasn't having that. She was like, no.
I mean, subconsciously, my wife wasn't having it either, but I'm just saying, I can't pinpoint a certain moment of me saying like, all right, we're gonna stop hanging. We can have this conversation off like podcast,
right?
Like deep habit. But like Tori, there was a group of people that we specifically used to hang around that like they cool, but we just stopped hanging. And I don't even know why we stopped hanging, bro.
Yeah, we have to talk offline probably.
Yeah, we have to talk offline, but it's weird, bro. I mean, I understand that saying of God remove people out of your life for a reason and people in your life for a season. And I truly understand all of that, but it's just like mind-boggling sometimes to realize that, oh, this really happened. Like when you go back and reflect, like, oh yeah, like
well,
they
I
ain't
also
around
think,
no more.
But I think a lot of times it's not necessarily us saying that we're not gonna hang. A lot of times because we're starting to think and do things differently, we just start going apart, and then next thing you know, it's like, dang, I haven't talked to this person in 2 months, 3 months, 4 months.
Yeah.
So
hey, you giving people too much credit. A lot of times it's them saying that for whatever reason. And you know something, we coming to a realization right now, fellas. The reason why we can't figure out why is because they stopped hanging around us.
I know, we're looking like, where'd they go? They don't even answer their call no more. That's funny.
That's what it is, bro.
I guess they got tired of the flip cups and everything else.
Flip cups and like, oh man, this ain't going nowhere.
Flip
like
cups.
this ain't a sustainable relationship, friendship,
That's
whatever.
funny.
Wow.
And it's funny what you're alluding to, because honestly, you know, and let's keep it real. And maybe there's people who will never admit this, but we were probably in certain facets of our life seen as catches. And if we weren't biting the bait, you know, then it was, I mean, honestly, women have always been ahead of men anyway. Like they just, they get stuff quicker than we get it. You know, we just kind of be sitting there like an innocent bystander.
We chilling. We
chilling.
Hanging out. We thinking everything cool and copacetic.
We're like, just happy.
This is a whole relationship.
Right.
Like we building.
Right. We building.
What are you doing?
But that's a good point, because I mean, honestly, a lot of that drifting happens when you are no longer producing at a rate of potential that you know maybe they saw, and maybe that's where those transitions had to take place. Real. Or on the flip side of things, because I mean, hey, we do it too. You know, there were periods in our life where, you know, we were like, man, I'm tired of all the BS. Like, let's. Where is, you know, I'm looking for the one, and some of those conversations and those people that we entertain, unfortunately, they didn't make the cut.
No,
that's so real, bro. Like, just in a full moment of transparency, I definitely had one of those. It was one of them moments I never forget, bro, that I was entertaining. I say entertaining because in my mind, I wasn't dating, even though my wife let me know that I was dating. I didn't let it be known that I was dating, but I was entertaining like 3 different women. And I legit talked to God when I was like, look, God, like, you know what I'm on, like, I'm trying to find wifey at this point. And all 3 of these women who I was entertaining were like definitely good women. They weren't flawed. I mean, of course everybody got flaws, but you know what I'm saying? It wasn't anything to the point that made me say like, oh, stop talking to this, stop. Like, you know, it was just like,
right.
All right, God, like, help your boy out because I'm not clear on where I need to be right now.
Yeah.
And when I tell you, it was like, bap, bap, bap.
I mean, that's crazy, because I had a very similar situation, you know, where you know, we call ourselves getting into the space where we are, you know, wanting to settle down and we want to find that match that's going to be with us for the long haul. You know, somebody who we want to make babies with, you know, and put the ring on their finger and so on and so forth, you know. For some reason, my situation was very similar. You know, there were candidates, to say the least, until the one, you know, realized like, oh, we're not doing that. Like, we're not doing the whole, you know, multiple. It's either you here or you not. you know, and you know, that shifted things immediately for me. And that's funny. I think a lot of us have probably had that same experience.
Yeah, definitely. That's just I wasn't even trying to get to the relationship stuff. It kind of it happened, but like really going more so into just influential moments, bro. I can vividly remember a point in my life where things were not going right for me. It was just everything was going bad. Like I said, 2007 to 2009, bro, is like a time in my life, quite like how we're in COVID right now, 2020. Mm-hmm. I'll never forget this. But that period of time, like 2007 to 2009, I'll never forget. There was so many life moments that happened during that period of time that really shaped who I am now. Right. But, you know, there's this, it was just like that moment when you realize, like, oh, these are people who are supposed to be in my life. Because it was things that would happen where, like, of course, during that time, your boy flat broke, no money coming in, trying to figure it out, no job, just like, yo, this music still got to work. I'm still these beats, you know what I'm saying? Yeah, bro, I never forget, like, I was going to Macon to work with my dad just to make, you know, some money here and there just to be able to, like, pay Corey back rent. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And, bro, I had, like, a little AT&T GoPro phone, or Go phone.
I remember that.
It was like prepaid phone.
GoPro.
And you would basically you would have to buy a card to put minutes on the phone, bro. And I found a loophole. If you call somebody with AT&T when you didn't have any minutes, it was free. So I was down to like 1 minute left on my phone, and I was trying to head to Macon, but I had a 1/8 of a tank of gas in my car. This is no exaggeration. And I had no money, and the only way that I was going to be able to put gas in my car was once I made it to Macon to get money. Bruh, I made it from my old apartment on University, like off of Metropolitan, excuse me.
Yeah.
All the way to Macon on the 1/8 tank of gas. I got to like Forsyth, which is 15 minutes away from Macon. Wow. And I called my homeboy who was in Macon at the time. I was like, look, this is the only phone call that I got. After I hang up with you right now, I have no more minutes on my phone. I have no more communication. This is my last phone call. I was like, bro, I'm on 75. I'm heading to my folks' house. I'm on E. My gas light is on. I was like, bro, if I don't call you in 25 minutes, I'm somewhere between Forsyth and Macon, going 75 south. I'm in the tours. I'll be on the side of the street. And he was like, hey, cuz, I got you. I was like, I'll call you when I get to my folks' house.
Dang, dog.
When I tell you, I pulled up in my parents' driveway, did not run out of gas, got to my mom's house, got some money so I can go and buy gas, turn the car, it would not crank.
Oh, kidding me.
Dog, would not crank. I made it to Macon on 1/8 of a tank of gas. It don't even make sense. It doesn't compute because it's not.
Nah, that ain't even, I don't even know how you did that.
It don't supposed to work. Like, it would normally change. I would normally burn 1/4 of a tank of gas driving to Macon. And because I was driving fast, you know, you usually. Yeah. But 1/8 of a tank doesn't make sense. It's just crazy, bro.
I don't think I ever knew. I mean, to some extent I knew, bro, but I never knew that period of your life was as challenging, bro, or as influential. Since that's you know, kind of what we're talking about. I never knew that period of your life was that like monumental.
Bro, you want to know why? Because I hid it very well. Because I'm gonna tell you what you saw. You saw me at Tori and Brian house.
Facts.
Playing ping pong and playing beer pong.
Yeah.
But the reality is, I owed Corey probably about 3 months of rent, 2 or 3 months of rent, and I only went to Tori and Brian house because I didn't want to look at Corey in his face.
That's crazy.
Like, so I would be at Tori and Brian's house probably 2 or 3 days out the week, bro. Just like
easily,
legit.
yeah.
Wednesday, Thursday, Friday. I'm there. Like,
Yeah.
That's crazy. Because we was next door, so
yeah, it was next door.
just-
So I'm just like, oh, JD up here, like, cool, whatever. Like, but no, bro, it was like, bro, I was, man, I look back on that time and I haven't apologized face to face to some women, but I apologize to God to touch those women.
Go ahead and tell them, Lord.
Yeah, tell them, Lord. Because
Send this message.
Bro, I was sleeping on couches.
Yeah.
Just to, I was spending the night just to eat. Like it, man, it was crazy, bro. Like,
dang, bro.
Like legit.
Yeah. We
For
all
real,
hit
bro,
that spot though.
Yeah.
Tor,
bro,
you scratching your head over it. I know you got a few of them moments, them monumental scenarios.
You know, there's one, I'm just going to hint about it. There's one definitely monumental moment that I had, and the guy who's laughing the hardest on here happened to be there. But I'm just going to, we're not going to talk about that, but more to the ones that you were just talking about though, JD. I remember times where me and Brian, we didn't even know where we was going to pay for rent or how we was going to pay for rent.
Oh, boy, who you telling?
It was, you know, it was at a couple of points that, you know, some people asked us to do some things and we was thinking about it. we was really trying to formulate, hey, if we did this, what would we do?
Yeah.
And, you know.
Trap or die.
Yeah, man. And I think that was the first time that we was really looking at, man, our rent being paid and having pocket money, man. Whoo, we was about to do this. But we ended up not doing it. But as like JD was saying, even though me and Brian, we had a place, he know when he came over there, we didn't know what we was gonna eat. We didn't know none of that stuff.
Hot dogs, bro.
Mystery meat.
We always had hot dogs and beer at that point.
Hot dogs, beer, and
That's
Doritos,
all you need to survive at that point, bro.
And that was it. So, you know.
Hot dogs, beer, and Doritos.
But to the outside world, like JD was talking about, they thought we was good. We was still going to parties. We was still going to the bars with them. And so, you know, like he said, we got this facade up. But man, we were back like, dang, when we go get this rest of this $400 for this rent, you know, type situation. But, you know, even though we was going through a lot individually, collectively is where I think a lot of that learning happened, though.
Yeah. No, that's real.
It's those low moments, though.
Yeah.
You know, those low moments tend to put something in you that you can't get any other kind of way.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I'm saying? Like, it's funny, you know, you talk about not knowing where Rick came from. I mean, me and Ace were the same way. You know, like me and Lasana trying to grind and become super producers and, bruh, not knowing how we paying this rent, like literally time after time after time, day before, day of, somehow, some way, God come through, you know, right. that royalty check come through or somebody could look out, you know, half the time, sometimes there are times we had to call a cousin or hit a parent up or something like that, man. I mean, you know, you're a young man, you're out here trying to make it on your own. You don't want to appear to be in a vulnerable state. You know, right. you don't want to appear to be in a situation that you can't control, that you can't handle. When in actuality, man, you're at your lowest, but something about those periods of time put things in us that I honestly believe like we can't get anywhere. They teach you lessons that you can't learn when you're privileged. It's just a fact.
Right.
No, that's real, man. That's so real. It's just, and you know what? What's crazy is that a lot of times we don't appreciate those moments when we're going through them because we kind of look at them as, okay, this is just what's going on. Like we kind of shrug it off as like, this is what's happening. We'll figure it out. We don't even really take time to process what we're going through and what we came out of until, you know, you get older and you look back and it's just like, hey, bro, like I had like damn near a 400 credit score at one point. Like, And now to look like I'm got over 800 credit score, and it don't even bother me that you know what I'm saying? It's just like, no, bro, like you really was struggling. You really had some issues going on out here. And now, but you have to realize that you went through some things, and the people that were around you going through those things, a lot of those people going through stuff too. But we've so caught up in the things that you're going through yourself that you don't process that everybody else around you may be dealing with the same thing. Like I said, Tori, I never knew Tori and Brian had problems paying like rent, but we were there. It's one of those things, man, where you take it for granted, and then you grow and realize like, oh man, people in your life for a reason, for real.
Well, that's what I was about to ask you guys. Like, who was most influential bringing you out of your lowest? Like out of those points where, bro, you at the like you need an act of God for real. Because for me, I'm gonna tell you, bro. Ironically, I got two people to name. One will probably never realize how much influence they had in this situation, but it's one of my best friends, my best man, my brother since I was a little kid, and I'm an only child, so I'm calling him my brother because he was one of the closest friends. My homeboy, shout out to Thomas, man. I think more than anybody, I probably had like some straight up heart-to-heart conversations with him at periods of my life where nobody else saw the real, but I could like keep it 100 with him and just like share it. And he would give me that real, whatever I needed to know. Like he wasn't sugarcoated. Like if I was dropping the ball, he would tell me straight up. He'd be like, man, that's stupid. Like you're not even, applying yourself or whatever. He would kind of keep it real. But straight up, I'm Brian too. Because I'm gonna tell you, bro, when Brian shifted, and when I say shifted, y'all know what I mean. Like Brian found God,
and the whole crew
found God. And granted,
in a real way though.
In a real way, like all of us thought we had God before that, right?
Yeah.
But when Brian found God, bro, it took over. Yeah. Because it was something about that for me made me look at my life and be like, man, this ain't worth it. Like the stuff, my habits, the things that I'm doing, the hours that I keep, the people that I keep around me, this stuff ain't worth it, man. Like I have more to live for than this. So shout out to my son Brian, man. You might not know how influential you were on this group, but you shifted us.
He definitely did. I'll say moment, because I can't really, just for the sake of this podcast, because a lot of our stuff is intersecting. You know what I mean? Because Brian is definitely influential. Corey is, because I told y'all, like, Corey helped me out in a time where there was no judgment, because he saw that I was actually out here working. Like, it wasn't like I was just not trying at all. It was just like, no, bro, I understand what you're doing. I get it. Just like, to pay me back when you can. And that was it. Like, there was no other talk at all. It was just like, no, bro, like, just, get it back to me when you can, bro. Like, I know you're good for it. I see you. Like, it ain't like you just dipping out on me. Like, no, bro, like, I get it. So definitely Corey. But I tell you, man, it was a moment in my life, bro, like, where I found myself, and I'm going to be super transparent, and with this, just I'm saying this I'm saying this up front just to notate that this is a very honest moment for me, but I'm sharing it. It was a time I was in Macon doing this. This was definitely during that 07. It was probably like 07, 08, something like that. So it was in that time of like brokenness. And man, I was in Macon. I was hanging out with one of my childhood friends, and bro, we were just, we were doing what we normally do. We go to a bar, have a couple of drinks, we chilling, and we had some drinks, and like we just chilled in the parking lot, and like it was some women who were just like choosing, right? And so we chose back, right? And we end up at this lady house, and you know, one night stand. That's what happened, right? It's a one night stand situation. And I've always been the type of dude where that ain't my vibe, bro, at all. Like I'm the type of dude like I like to know who I'm dealing with, and I didn't know who this person was for nothing. You know what I'm saying? Like didn't know, and I leave, and I immediately leave, and the next day I'm like, bro, what are you on? Like, who are you? Like, I had a real in the mirror look at myself like, bro, who are you?
Yeah.
This ain't even, you trying to live a life that ain't even yours. Like, this is not your life at all. 100% this is not your life. And it was like, from that moment, I was just like, you know what? I'm chilling, bro. Like, I don't, this ain't, I'm just going, I'm like, God, you got control. Whatever you say you want me to do, like, we'll just run from here because I don't know what's going on right now. And bro, I tell you, no joke, within maybe 6 or 7 months of that moment is when I got a call from a high school friend of mine who was like, yo, I'm getting married and I got this girl I think you should meet. I think y'all will hit it off. Y'all pretty, y'all have similar personalities. But I don't want her to come all the way down here and not have a date for the wedding. So, I'm gonna introduce y'all. If you're interested, let me know. Y'all, go on the date, figure it out. And that person was Trina.
That's
and
crazy.
Like, you know what I'm saying? But it was just like on some that didn't supposed to happen. You know what I'm saying? Like that's not a those are one of those like what I call like real God moments because don't get me wrong, like Erica is the person I'm talking about. That's Trina's childhood friend. That's who I mean, that's her college friend, line sister. That was my childhood friend.
One of my wife's close friends.
Right, from high school. And I've never displayed anything to make her think differently of me, but in my mind, I'm thinking like, why would she call me in that moment? Like, it didn't make sense for her to call me out of all the dudes who she could have called to like meet one of her friends. You know what I'm saying? Like, it didn't compute. It didn't make sense that was like, oh, this right here would be a good match. She was just on some like, no, like, all right, cool. Yeah. And there's some other layers of that story that I won't tell here that y'all know, but it's like 3 years prior, it could have been something that happened where like it definitely wouldn't have went down if I wouldn't have my wife right now. You know what I'm saying? So it's just like, it's amazing how God be working, bro. Even when you don't even be knowing or thinking about it, it's just, it just happens.
Right. I mean, for me, I'm gonna give two as well. The first one, I'm gonna have to join Mo and also saying Brian. Me and Brian, we was actually roommates. So he's been there for my lows. I've been there for his lows. He knows things about me that none of you guys do, even though we all kind of know.
Yeah, I know what you're saying.
And he knows a lot more.
He's seen them.
Yeah, he's
seen it. Yeah.
It's different.
Yeah, we've been in the trenches together. He really became like my brother. His family basically adopted me. Whenever he would go, they'd make sure I was coming, and if he was home, they made sure I was fed. So it was just that introduced me to his whole life, and just really being integrated in that, and really being just that true confident, no judgment, no nothing. Like he really was there to help through all of those bad moments. And then I would have to say, outside of that, I'm not gonna say the person's name, but I'm gonna say it was a relationship though that kind of like you said earlier. This was one of those pivotal moments that I was like, I know what me as a man, what I'm gonna stand for and what I'm not gonna stand for.
Right.
And then also, that's when I really developed, like, I don't like wasting nobody's time because I don't like my time being wasted. And, really it put me into be really deliberate about a lot of my choices. So I think that would be the other one.
I'm gonna tell y'all, man, I had an experience. I'm gonna kind of go in the same vein as you guys and share something that I may have never shared with y'all. So I was in a relationship. It was actually a relationship prior to my. Well, yeah, of course it was a relationship prior to my marriage, but it was the relationship that was prior to my marriage. Which again is the one I alluded to earlier. That was one of the most pivotal moments in my life because I saw things in myself that I never knew were there. This particular, person that I was with was a long time. I mean, I've known them most of my life, grew up with them. They were kind of like that person that I'm sure all of us knows that has always been around and you've always suspected they might end up being the one. I'm sure all of us have had that girl in our life. And I'm sure a lot of ladies out there who are listening you've had that guy in your life, that you're like, you're supposed to end up with them, right?
Right.
And ironically, and it was kind of like, Tori alluded to, that family was like family to me. Her parents were already like parents to me. Her siblings were already like siblings. Matter of fact, her younger sibling was actually my god brother. Our parents were close. And just to dive deeper, y'all know this. My father's a pastor. Her parents were leaders in the church. Her dad was a minister, at the church. Matter of fact, her real father, and he passed away, and her stepfather were ministers. He became a minister later on in the church. So the connections were deeply close, man. And I will tell you, even layered with all of the religious settings that we were in, I found myself in a space where that relationship was toxic. And I never knew how toxic I would allow it to be in public.
Right.
It would be toxic to the point where I would be, at her parents' house with her, and we're literally in the middle of the night or outside having the loudest arguments that you could ever imagine.
Mm-hmm.
Something that me personally, I never thought that I would ever be in those settings. Like, I don't like to argue to begin with.
Yeah.
I like talking about what it is. It's either this or it's not, and let's get past it. I just don't like back and forth. It's just it's tiring for me. But when I tell you, like, and thankfully there's never like no physical abuse, none of that kind of stuff. It wasn't that crazy. But to say the least, the emotions, it's the grace of God that it never got to that point, being honest. And I'm not saying that for her or me. I'm just basically saying that's how heightened those moments were, where these are the the things that it takes for 9 times out of 10 for these situations to become drastically bad. We were in those settings. And so, just to say that I was outside of the home of people that I deeply respected, people who saw me maybe in a light that I was not representing, while being outside of their house, and me outside yelling and doing all that kind of stuff. It's just one of those things, man, where you have to look back, you have to realize like there was purpose in it more than anything, because I think the purpose of that relationship, of the influence that came from that, actually helped me prepare myself for marriage. It helped me see, what I did not want to be in, long term. It helped me face those things in between that relationship and actually finding my wife. I was able to wrestle with that stuff, deal with that stuff, pray about that stuff, ask God to heal that stuff, to kind of confront those things, which you need space to do that.
Right.
If you're going to grow. And that's why I say sometimes those lowest points are the points that will shift you and prepare you for whatever's next. And it almost sounds like there's a theme where some of our lowest points actually launched us into some of our greatest moments.
Yeah, no, I think that's right. But they always say that you learn more by going through tough things. Because
Mm-hmm.
it has those lasting impacts. Because once you've been broke and had to figure out how you're gonna eat, you always know how you're gonna eat. You know what I'm
Mm-hmm.
saying? Uh,
Yeah, that's real.
so those hard, tough lessons are those things that that sticks with you the most. And a lot of times, those are the things that really define you as
Mm-hmm.
well, because it takes pressure to build a diamond, right? So
Mm-hmm.
that's the same thing. It takes those lows to build character and to build out a person. So I'm grateful for all of those moments because I think it really has shaped shaped that for me. But I think one relationship that we none of us has touched on is from a family perspective.
Mm-hmm.
What's that most influential relationship,
Mm.
and how has it impacted you? uh I'm gonna start with Mo this time. Marlon.
Okay.
Mm. That's tough, man. Because I mean, obviously, I think about my parents first and foremost. Um, and the only reason I didn't mention my wife in this conversation is because I feel like she goes without saying. I think our bond and our commitment to each other, is deeper than words. It's life.
Good
We
cleanup.
grow,
Yeah.
we grow together. You funny, man. No, we I mean, seriously, we grow together, and we, we see each other's highs and lows, and we've already committed to be there through them all. But when I'm thinking long term, and my parents, I just name both of them. I can't even pick which would be more influential. I think they both had such a deep imprint on me, and my dad taught me to be a man, no question. But my mom also taught me to be a man. You know,
Mm.
um, and I'm thankful to have had them both. Um, and I'm thankful that they're still healthy, alive, and here to see me now navigating my own marriage and navigating being a parent. So, and I know that's a beautiful treasure for them to be able to see their grandchildren. So, my
Yeah.
parents.
Mm. You, JD.
Um, I mean, I spoke on this before. I mean, definitely my dad, my mom as well. Like, just things that I had this moment in when you just have these reality thinking moments. And I was like, man, I'm 36, and then I was like, man, at 36, my dad had an 18-year-old, a 9-year-old who was me, and a baby on the way, which is my little brother.
Woof.
At 36. And I'm thinking like I got two little girls that, for the most part I can kind of take care of that. But like you got a grown son,
Mm-hmm.
a son that's trying to figure this thing out at 9, and you got a baby on the way. I can only imagine what my dad was thinking in his head at that moment. You know what I'm saying? And so I say all that to say, like, my dad definitely played a very influential role in my life. My mom as well, just, seeing her every day just like take care of the house, bro. It's like that goes without saying. You know what I mean? Like my mom worked as in the medical field for a while, and she got injured on the job and wasn't able to work anymore. And
Mm-hmm.
so, but I've never had a conversation with my mom like, yo, how did that make you feel? Like to this day, I've never had that conversation because I
Mm-hmm.
don't know what my mom, like that was her dream job, and she can't work it anymore. And I've never had that, like, mom, how that made you, you know what I'm saying? So I say she gave up a lot just to take care of her kids, man, and take care of the house and help my dad run a business. But the other person that I would say in family is my grandmother, man. Like my
Mm.
grandma Christine she's the one person that, bro, if this thing was over with now and we get up there and she ain't there, I don't understand it. Like she's just one of them people that she belongs next to God, bro. Like it's just it is what it is. Like I've seen this woman legit feed a house of 6 grandkids
Mm.
with 2 eggs.
Bro,
Like
how did they do that, man? Grandparents, bro.
They know how to stretch a meal, man,
I don't
boy.
know, bro. Today I don't know how my Like, I don't know how my grandmother was able to do it. And if I call her right, well, she sleep right now. But if I was to call in the morning, we would laugh about that to this day. Like, Grandma, you would feed the entire house with 2 eggs.
Yeah, facts.
And I don't know how you did it. But, you know, as I became a man, me and my grandmother would have like conversations about God and about life. And I came to realize that how I viewed her as a Christian is completely different. Her view as Christianity is very close to how I view Christianity. Like, she understands that, look, we're going to make mistakes. Like, God is real. You need to get to know, have your own relationship with God. Don't be trying to run up in everybody's church trying to figure out God. Like, sit down and read your Bible and let God meet you there sometimes. You know, it's like, but I didn't, as a kid, I was just like, man, she was holier than thou. But as a man, you realize that, oh no, grandma understands life. Like, she went through life just like how I went through life too. You know what I mean? So I'm just appreciating the time that I have with all of them, because I still have both of my parents, thankfully. And y'all know my dad had a lot of health issues, but he's still, you know, he's making it, and he's here. And my grandmother is, you know, she'll be 80, she's 86 right now. So it's just like, you know, just to know that she's 86 and her whole mind is still here, bro, and like still can tell me stories of when she was young. It's like, it's amazing. So those would be my people. Definitely those mine.
Well, I guess I'll round it out for us. Of course, it's kind of like you guys said, definitely my parents had a great and tremendous impact on my life. I'm also going to say my siblings, you know, as well. They've helped mold me and shape me to be who I am. I've taken pieces of things that they've been through in their lives and, you know, helped me in my life. So I'll definitely have them. But outside of them, and of course, you know, about like you, Marlon, I'm just gonna, you know, without saying it, my wife is definitely one. But if outside of that, I would say my uncle, my uncle Pete, JD, you met him.
Uncle Pete.
Yeah. He lived up in New Jersey, and he will always look after me. He always took care of me, you know. Even as he got older, you know, I will go visit him a lot. Just also when JD and my roommate Brian met him and all that good stuff. But it meant so much to him just for me to come visit, because he would always say, you know, out of all my nephews and stuff, you're the one that come to visit me the most. So that really meant a lot to him. And, you know, outside of my dad and my brothers, you know, he's really how I learned how to be a man. You know, what a man's supposed to do, how a man's supposed to act, how a man's supposed to work, behave, like all of that. So he really helped shape that part of my life, you know, with my dad, and, you know, and my brothers and other uncles as well. But he just was that really special guy that was just a great guy to hang around, and always ready to give you his shirt off his back. Never met a stranger. Take care of you and your friends when you come in town.
Yes, he did.
So, you know, so, you know, he got up, cooked breakfast every morning at, what was it, JD, like 5 o'clock?
Early.
Always. So it's just that type of thing, like a man didn't have a routine. So he was really influential in my life as well, man.
And shout out to Uncle Pete.
Yeah,
good
man.
times over there in New Jersey, man. Good time. Definitely good time. But look, man, this podcast episode here, man, I feel like we was transparent, and
yeah.
It was a lot going on, man. This is
we got a lot of stories to tell.
A lot, man.
We do, and you know, I think a lot of times because we know each other so well, we take for granted that there are things that we just don't know. Like, I learned something about both of y'all tonight. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
And it's just, I think that the black thought is just continue to communicate, because you never know who is going to be that person that's influential in your life.
Yeah.
So, you know, you can't go dormant and sit in the house, even though I know we are now, but continue to communicate, man, because and don't take those don't take conversation from strangers for granted, because they can be some life lessons within those conversations, man. Even if it was just for a moment, you know. So that's it, man. Make sure y'all subscribe, rate, and review the podcast. Continue listening. We see y'all listening. We thank y'all. We really do appreciate y'all. We're gonna keep going, man. We're gonna keep going, and we are on YouTube now, so make sure y'all subscribe to our YouTube page so you can see these episodes as well as here on Spotify, Apple Music, and anywhere you listen to podcasts, man. But Black Men Think Podcast. We'll see y'all next week.
The Black Men Think Podcast.